Hey Reddit, I'm James Vaughn, founder of Endemic Creations and creator of hit mobile PC console games Plague Inc., Rebel Inc., and now After Inc. I started making Plague Inc. as a hobby in 2011. Since its launch in May 2012, I quit my job and now spend all my time making games with a small team at Endemic Creations. In Antimic, you have to rebuild civilization after the zombie apocalypse you caused in Plague Inc. I wanted to do a happier, more positive game this time. It's out on mobile and Steam Early Access. As for the game that started it all, Plague Inc. is 13 years old, and over 200 million people have played it. Ask me anything. How does this differ from Cure Mode or similar features that were added to Plague Inc. since 2019? How long of a runway do you hope to have during Early Access? Do you feel pre-release access will be functionally any different than releasing 1.0 and changing things post-release? Thanks for stopping by. After Inc. is a completely different game in a lot of ways. I wanted to make a unique, accessible city builder mini 4X that you can play in 20 minutes whilst also achieving broader meta progression to try and restore civilization. If you have played Plague Inc. or Rebel Inc., you will definitely recognize mechanics. But there is a lot of new stuff in there, I'm in the lucky position that my games have been successful enough that I can continue to support them for a long time to come. I've got a list of things I want to achieve in Early Access, and I'm sure I'll get seduced by other cool ideas to add in at the same time. However, even after Early Access, I'll be adding new stuff to it. E.g., I'm also working on a major new Plague Inc. update currently 13 years after launch. For me, not really. However, I think Early Access is a useful way to communicate to players that this game is still in active development and there is new stuff being added to it constantly. So that's why we do it. I just want to say, I'm such a fan. I've been playing this game since 2012 on and off. It's just such a fun way to spend time while I'm at an airport or need to do something with my hands. Edit. My brothers and I used to fight for turns to play on our cheap prepaid phones from T-Mobile. There was only one phone that had Android Store on it. The rest were flip phones. The crunch noise when you squash Research 1010. Anyways, huge fan. I would love to hype up the game more, but I'm at work. I hope you always have a cold pillow, extra fizzy soda, and no traffic. My question is, what inspired you most to make the game? Did anyone discourage you? Thanks for sharing the story. Always love to hear them. The thing that inspired me to make Plague Inc. was the fact I wanted to create something real for myself. I was in a job that I enjoyed, but wasn't what I wanted to be doing for the rest of my life. I wanted to see if I could create something, and so I decided to make Plague Inc. as a hobby initially. A secondary driver was that I didn't feel there were very many high-quality mobile games out there, and I wanted to make a game I would actually enjoy playing. No one discouraged me. I think my friends and family were quite surprised when I told them I was doing it, and maybe didn't quite understand why I was spending all my evenings and weekends on it though. The joy of doing it as a hobby meant that I wasn't risking my livelihood or anything, and I was only 24, so I had lots of free time. I find something funny about making something happier and more positive that essentially involves society hitting a big reset button by dying. Haha! When you made Plague Inc., did you have prior coding experience? I've only coded for a single class I took in university over a decade ago, and have been wanting to jump into learning to code with the goal of making a game. But between work and life, it's hard to find the motivation. Any advice for someone wanting to get into the hobby of making a game? Good resources or places to start? P.S. I love Plague Inc., and I remember playing it on a train on a trip in Italy in 2013, and feeling like only minutes went by when it had in fact been 2 hours. No coding experience, apart from doing complicated Excel formulas. I also used to make custom maps for games like Age of Wonders 2, which helped me a huge amount in understanding how to create games, although I didn't realize at the time. I think my advice would be to find something that you enjoy creating. A game, writing, art, a mod, anything. We live in a world where it is so easy to consume content. The act of creating something can add enormous meaning to your life. Note, this is probably harder and even more relevant with AI. How did it feel to see your downloads spike when the actual pandemic arrived? It felt very disconcerting to see all the things I had made up 9 years previously suddenly be happening in the real world. But at the same time, I felt proud that people were turning to my game to help understand and explore a deeply scary and complex subject, and I felt a sense of responsibility to make it as effective as possible. I also felt very strongly that I didn't want to profit from the pandemic. I want my games to do well and make money because they are good games that people enjoy playing, not because of a serious public health emergency. I explain about what I did because of this here. Is there anything in the game you think has gone undiscovered? If nothing, what were you surprised took so long? If you don't feel like revealing your secrets, what was your favorite ticker to write? With 200 million players, including people who have spent far longer than me mastering the game, I'd be amazed if there are any secrets left. There were a few very complex necrovirus achievements that took the community a while to track down, and it was really cool watching the internet detective brain in action. I love a lot of the news tickers. Had so much fun writing them. The Half-Life 3 one is great, and I loved seeing that pop up on Reddit so regularly for a while. The news ticker that springs to mind now, though, is the help me message written as if someone is stuck in the game, being forced to write more. How much have you made from Plague Inc. itself? I remember playing this in a jailbroken iPhone around the time of release. Awesome it's still around. A life-changing amount of money. Not gonna give specifics as I'm sure you'll understand, but I've been incredibly lucky. One thing I love is that I've been able to quit my old job and focus fully on making games that I want to play. I want my games to make money still, but I never have to sacrifice design or make suboptimal choices in order to worry about monetization. I also get to spend as much time as I want iterating on my new games in order to make sure they are good enough. This can be both a blessing and a curse, I suppose. What are your thoughts on newfound distrust in organizations like the CDC, Joe, and vaccines as a whole? Admittedly, this is a mostly American phenomenon. I find it concerning. No person or organization is perfect, but when things get bad, I'd much rather have a bunch of people trying to make the world a better place than no one there at all. It's always seductive to think we can just wipe the slate clean and start afresh, but in reality, that is extremely unlikely to happen. It's always easier to stop destroy something than it is to create something new. But it is better to work hard and slowly try to improve something that already exists. There are so many horrible diseases out there, and we live in such an interconnected world. Humans should be working together against disease, and vaccines are a scientific superweapon. Too many people have forgotten how much the world suffered from disease beforehand and take our current safety for granted. Having noticed your good intentions evident from the release of and the gameplay in The Cure, I can assure you this is not a loaded question. But do you also find global catastrophe weirdly exhilarating? And when you started to make the game, was your vision designing something you would enjoy yourself, or was it data market driven? There are so many questions I have, as I've played for ages. But I'm currently designing something myself, and I feel like Plague Inc. is a huge inspiration, so I'm intrigued about the emancipation. I've always enjoyed reading apocalyptic and post-apocalyptic sci-fi, so yes. And I definitely think that people enjoying seeing the world collapse is one of the reasons why Plague Inc. did so well. It's nice to do it when you can just press a button and restore the world to its original condition. I made Plague Inc. as a hobby, without any commercial intentions at all. It was 100% about designing something that I would enjoy playing myself. And luckily, it turned out there are a lot of other people around who felt the same. That was also the driver for Rebel Inc. and After Inc., one of my favorite games on tablet. Thanks for creating such an interesting, scientific, and thoughtfully sarcastic game. What was your inspiration? I recall playing a Flash game called Infect, Evolve, Repeat back in the early 00s on Mind Distortion. I seemed like the only person I knew of playing it, but the concept was intriguing to me. I'm wondering what sort of mind decides, hey, disease and infection, right? Good video game idea. Heh. There was a Flash game called Pandemic in 2008. That was all about spreading a disease. I played it whilst I was working out what game I wanted to make, and I found myself thinking about all sorts of things I'd like to do to make it a better and bigger game. Definitely a big inspiration for the game. Maybe that is what you were thinking of? What was your means of getting the game to such high downloads? Was it primarily luck from YouTubers or streamers playing, or was it investing in another form of advertising? I made Plague Inc. because I wanted to play a game like it, and there were not any other games like it. It turned about that a lot of other people wanted the same thing, and so when I released it, they all told their friends about it. It was the ultimate viral haha game in that regard. One thing that I benefited from in 2012 was that there were still non-curated iPhone charts showing recently released games, and the App Store wasn't as saturated, so people would look through those charts. Because of this, on the morning of release, I woke up to find it had released 4 hours earlier, without me knowing, and thousands of people had already found the game and started playing. We did get YouTubers and streamers playing the game, but that all happened long after the game was already successful. We have never done paid advertising, BTW. My other two games, Rebel Inc. and After Inc., have both benefited a huge amount from the fact that Plague Inc. is so popular, and we can say to people, check out our new game. How is the development process for creating a new game like this? As in stress, how enjoyable it is. I find it both very stressful and very enjoyable. Even though we don't have financial pressure as a studio thanks to the success of our existing games, I put a lot of pressure on myself to make the game good enough. I won't release it until I'm happy with it. It is a huge amount of work, with a lot of iteration, but the feeling at the end when it all comes together, assuming it does, is amazing, and I love the sense of having created something from scratch. We live in a world where it is so easy to consume content, so I feel it's important to try and create something too. Congrats on the app PC release, finished the 2 campaigns already. both mobile and PC. I have 3 questions. Most important to me, since my favorite game you released so far is Rebel Inc., could we get a single-player Rebel mode, possibly with its own campaign? In After Inc., could we get to choose which leader we want to choose from the entire list instead of from a choice of 3? Also, After Inc., I think adding advisors as in Rebel Inc., or the genes from Plague Inc., this would be an addition to campaign rewards. Thanks for the great games. Here's hoping for more content and more games in the future.
Hello! I've got a few questions. When are you going to touch my beloved mad cow disease? Will you completely remake it or just slightly change the maths in regards to the score formula so that all existing scores don't get obliterated? If you aren't going to touch MCD soon, can we at least have something like a Terrasite buff that makes it multiplicative? Suppression made MCD significantly less difficult, and it was solely due to working on open borders. MCD players used to use it for the land border transmission rate, and not having it means we've basically been set back like a year or two in the meta development, and we are back in the native biome era. My world record with suppression was 96,134 score on Nega Brutal, and if we set suppression aside, I still hold the world record. But with Made of Biome, I only managed to get like 75,000 score, where 65,000 is the requirement for 3 stars. Now imagine how hellishly difficult it is for new players. I'm not asking for immediate actions. I at least want to know the estimated time we have left till MCD is changed in any shape or form. Also, about a month ago, I have asked you guys a legal question via support, but have not yet received an answer. Due to the nature of the question, so I may as well give it a shot and ask it here. Some of my friends are working on a custom AI to replace the behavior of the in-game Plaguebot. Not a single line of code from the original Plaguebot is in that code. It is completely original. It would only affect the behavior of the in-game VS Plaguebot, nothing else. No effect on the leaderboards or multiplayer matchmaking. Would there be a chance of us receiving a permission of yours to spread the AI across our VS community? We don't really want to do anything rushed without permission due to the fact that modifying the game is technically against the TOS. The AI would be used to let newer players learn how to play VS and hone their skills. This is probably really late, but I will still shoot my shot. I really love your games, and Plague Inc. is my favorite game of all time. The game is just too good for me. The game offers really unique gameplay depending on the situation and scenario, making you think about strategies all the time. Anyways, here are my questions. Will you re-release merch? It was really late when I realized this game had merch, and the t-shirts did get my interest. The one with the news in a biohazard shape, to be specific. Unfortunately, they are out of stock. What exactly happened in Afghanistan during the necrovirus outbreak? Did the disease make the economists flee, or did she lose against the insurgency? The lore is really interesting to me, and I really would like to learn more. Will there be a new game after Inc.? I know that the game is new, but I wanted to know if you are going to stop making new games and just focus on the 3 legendary games. Will there be politics like talking to other communities and maybe fighting or supporting each other in After Inc.? This question came to my mind when I played After Inc. for the first time. I love The Walking Dead, and one of the best parts of the show was the communication with other communities. Maybe this can be a future DLC. Will we be seeing what happened to the other countries in the future in After Inc.? For now, as far as I know, the United Kingdom survived kind of the apocalypse. It would be really cool to see what happened to other countries. And this probably would also boost the game development, as more people will want to play the game if they wanted to know what happens to their counties. That's all for now. Again, I love your games, and I wish you great success. As someone who played every game since Miniclip times, you came a long way. Question: will there be an option to sync Steam and Android progress? I kinda bought Plague 3 times and Rebel twice, but don't want to do so for After Inc. I already played through all currently released After Inc. content. Steam now supports mobile apps, example Melvor Idle. Will you release a mobile downloadable version on Steam? Since Yak, it's basically the same as the app, and then you wouldn't even need to sync. This is more of a critique, but at least for the PC version, I really don't understand the leader system. Like, during Plague, you had genes plus type leader. Rebel, you had genes plus leader plus incentives to play every map with every leader. Here you have all the leaders. Permanently, the rest system isn't really transparent. And the levels, while fun and challenging, and I like the auto-generation, but are not really shown as replayable. Replayability answers to replay. I guess I like the random upgradable genes. If I can throw in a suggestion for my nice and warm backseating couch, the path system kinda reminds me of Kingdom Rush tower defense games. Maybe similarly, don't hide done levels, but show plaques or upgrades that need certain achievements or clearing a level on X difficulty, or with X setup, or with X different leaders. Because currently it feels like don't actually care for your colony to survive, just rush IDK 5 materials and win. 4. This is probably not intended, but why did you change the pathing logic for the fighters between Rebel and After? Like for Rebel, when fighters were moving, they were actually moving. So when you change the target position midway to a tile like more left than the original destination, it had barely no change in the duration. Now the walking duration completely resets, and the fighter has to move from the beginning. Same with interrupts, etc. So basically in the new games, the fighters stay in the same position until their walk is finished, and then they teleport, and any change has the units need to recalibrate the teleporter from the beginning. While in the game, before they had position change during the walk. Overall, I think the game is great. I mean, I exhausted the Steam release already. I think it has a lot of potential, but also needs a few tweaks in content. Like Authority currently feels like it does nothing. I wish you all the luck and all the best. I am hyped for what's about to come. Can't wait for Space Inc. Haha, thank you for shaping my childhood school life. I really liked Plague Inc., but I didn't really like Rebel Inc. because it felt wrong to be playing the bad guys in a way that was much less self-aware. I don't know if this makes sense, but I'm an evil virus. I'm gonna kill humanity. Felt funny and cathartic. I'm an evil government. I'm gonna crush these rebels. Felt more like the game was seriously positioning the player as the good guys. Less dark humor, and more unironically, yes, end the rebellion. Have you ever considered something like the Play Cure game but for Rebel Inc.? A version of the game where you can play the good guys and lead a rebellion against a government. After Inc. does look interesting though. I'll definitely check it out. Are you planning on finishing Rebel Inc. and Plague Inc.? Also, will there be multiplayer for the PC port of After Inc.? The games are already complete with a huge amount of content, but I still want to update them with new stuff, as long as there are players who will enjoy it. Plague Inc. has been updated for 13 years now. I'd love to do multiplayer for After Inc., but no promises. It will depend on what players want most to be added to the game. Heyo! I absolutely love After Inc. played the demo and bought it day one. I know you have a sandbox mode planned for an update later down the road, and if this is too early to say, I understand, but have you considered a multiplayer side to the game? I thought the multiplayer mode on Plague Inc. was the most underrated thing, and would love to see something that come back again. And one thing I can't stop thinking about that's driving me crazy ever since I finished the 2 campaigns, and might definitely be out of scope for the game, but an infinite scaler with invade mechanics almost akin to Clash of Clans would be my newest addiction. Thank you again for making great games. I remember playing this very, very early on when it was just a Flash game, I think. But it was a very, very long time ago. I've checked in on it now and then as you've made updates to it, and the first time I was so shocked that one of those one-off Flash games, because, you know, there were tons of these little Flash games that people would make and throw up on Newgrounds or Congregate or whatever, got to be such a serious standalone thing with constant updates, etc. I just want to tell you that I'm really happy things worked out for you, and wish you the best. I've been playing After Inc. and really like it. Are you able to provide details on future expansions or perhaps a roadmap? I'm considering purchasing the Ultimate Pack, however, not knowing what the future might bring for this game is what's stopping me from purchasing. There is more info about what we plan with expansions in the game already, but I can't give specifics because a lot of it will be based on what the players want to see, how the game evolves. I'm planning on updating and supporting the game for a long time to come. What was your worst day during the making and supporting of Plague Inc., and what was your best day during that same time frame? What can you tell us about these 2 days that were terrible and wonderful? My question is intentionally open-ended to allow you any flexibility necessary. It could be something related to game development, or just something that happened during that time frame that you had to deal with, on top of juggling this evolution you underwent. I am mainly trying to ask what stands out in your mind during that time frame.
Thank you for watching. Write comments, put likes. Do not forget to watching other videos.